Let me give you a simple example. I come to America from India. I have never eaten a mushroom. Okay? I ask you, Alex, what does a mushroom taste like?
Sure.
I would submit that you would be completely unable to render to me in words, however lengthy and ornate, what a mushroom actually tastes like.
That may be true, but I was asking, for example, about Jesus' presentation at the Temple of Jerusalem after his birth. This is not like trying to describe a mushroom or the end of the world.
No. Okay, so now let's talk about that.
Hold on a second. This is a historical event that's being recorded by one New Testament writer at the same time as another New Testament writer says that the family had traveled to Egypt. I don't think this is an attempt at metaphor or allegory, as I would say of Genesis. Whether you think that is or not, I would say that in the case of the Gospels, we can agree that on at least some instances, this is a clear attempt at mundane history. This is not an attempt at writing some kind of metaphor to explain a truth that's otherwise unknowable to the human mind. It's a very straightforward attempt to record what actually happened, and they contradict each other.
They contradict each other because they're written by 4 different people.
Sure.
So let me ask you this. If God were writing it,
we're going to answer this contradiction according to them. We'll see. We'll check the Bible. They contradict because it was written by 4 authors. No. Okay, let's continue. Let's finish this one first.
sure he would have written it once. You would need 4.
Sure, so,
okay?
so some of them are wrong then?
No. Okay, so when you say they're wrong, let's consider Luke's gospel for a minute.
Yep.
Luke is a medical doctor. Luke is not present at the events being described. Mm-hmm. Luke is virtually in the position of Thucydides writing the Peloponnesian War. Now, Thucydides did fight in the war, but in most of the events described by Thucydides in the Peloponnesian War, he wasn't there.
Making them very unreliable, right?
No, on the contrary. It is in fact the most reliable account of the Peloponnesian War that historians have.
Let's not say that it is reliable, though.
No, it is. What I'm trying to say is that when you're talking about historicity, and you're talking about historicity now in the ancient world, you have to recognize that these people are not approaching it as modern historians. Luke is going around interviewing people.
So let me ask this very, very straightforwardly then.
Okay.
Luke says that after the birth of Jesus, the family fled to Egypt. Matthew says that they went to the Jerusalem temple. Are they both correct, or is one of
actually it's Matthew who said that the family went to Egypt. Okay, it's not Luke. Okay,
one of them wrong?
Who the heck cares? I mean, look.
Well, I do, and so.
Well,
yeah. So he said, "Who the heck cares?" So who cares? That means it's okay to have contradiction, right? No, that's not okay. And we cannot blame this guy because he doesn't have enough knowledge of the scripture, the clue, the small little thing or little stuff or little clue that Bart Ehrman said to his argument.
And there's a man who's dead on the floor, and there's a pool of blood, and you start looking for little clues. You look for a fingerprint, and you look for a hair, and somebody says, "What are you doing? You're looking for a hair. There's a dead body here." Well, yes, but to solve the crime, you've got to find something small. So it is with the Bible. If you want to know what the Bible is, sometimes you have to look for small things. Give you a second, really small thing.
Bart Ehrman. Let's check it. And let's continue. Okay. So remember, the little thing is crucial. It's the little evidence that could give us a clue. Do not blame me if I show that in the scriptures, because that is what Bart Ehrman said. The little stuff, the little thing. So that is very important to give us the clue what really happened. And Bart Ehrman was right, okay? And that is what we are gonna do in this situation between these 2 accounts, okay, of Matthew and Luke. Was there really a contradiction of this historical event that Matthew said the family fled to Egypt, okay, and Luke was just saying that they were in Jerusalem in chapter 2, and the other one in Matthew was recorded in chapter 2, also the same chapter actually. Let's check it, the little thing. The Luke chapter 2 and Matthew chapter 2. So Matthew said in his account, they fled to Egypt, the family of Mary, Joseph, and child Jesus. Okay, you will notice that it is child, okay? It's not baby, okay? It's not infant, okay? And look, we will investigate, we will check all the verses here, and we will compare side to side whether there is a contradiction, because this is very important. And I admire Alex O'Connor of this kind of contradiction. If there was really a contradiction, that is very important. That's crucial. Okay, so let's continue watching them.
You
Probably
do,
the
but
people who were listening to a debate about whether the Bible is true.
Yeah, we should care about that, right? Don't say that I don't care. Who the heck cares? No, we care. If that is a contradiction, that means it's unreliable, right? If there is a contradiction, who is the one telling the truth? Is Matthew or Luke? That is crucial to know that. If you don't care, that means that is fanatics. That's the reason of the fanatics, okay? You just believe even though it's not true, okay? But we will investigate, we will check the scriptures, whether it is a contradiction or not.
Why what you care about is not only trivial, but indicates a kind of unwillingness to try to get what the text is trying to communicate.
I'll tell you why I don't think it's trivial. Because I think that the reason why Luke may have invented the flight to Egypt, and they return from Egypt, he says this is so that we can fulfill the prophecy from Hosea chapter 11, out of Egypt I shall call my son. Now in Hosea, God is talking here about the nation of Israel. At least in this case, unlike the Matthew prophecy, the prophecy actually exists and we can interrogate it. It seems to me like what Luke is doing here is attempting to display Jesus as the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecy. And in fact, he tells us that that's what he's doing. Therefore, if it is the case that Jesus didn't go to Egypt and didn't come out of Egypt on his return, then this would undermine Luke's attempt to identify Jesus as the Jewish Messiah, fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecy. That's why I think it is relevant.
Well, look.
And not trivial.
Right, but I think that the...
Would you agree with that? I mean, do you think it's a completely trivial point? If it's so trivial,
no, I think that the point,
why is it included in the first place?
point as you stated it before is trivial. The point you're now raising is not trivial, but the point you're now raising is one in which you have 3 centuries of Jewish-Christian disputation about...
Okay, let's dive down to the verse itself. Okay, let's scrutinize the verse, the account about what happened during the time of Jesus' birth. Okay, let me read that in the book of Matthew first. Okay, so that we have side by side comparison. Okay, Matthew chapter 2 verse 1. You will notice first in this chapter 2 verse 1, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem. They saw this sign, the star, from the east. So they traveled far away. You know how to travel from east. It's too far, right? When they came to Jerusalem, where is the one who is born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east. So they saw the star when Jesus Christ was born. So this is the time when they see the stars, okay? And they traveled going to Jerusalem, maybe months or years. We don't know how many months they traveled, because during the time there's no sophisticated, land transportation like nowadays. Like you can take the airplane. It's just a couple of days, you're there already. So before, no. And you will notice in verse 3, when King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. Why they were disturbed in all Jerusalem? It's because they came like a caravan. There are many of them, okay? He was disturbed when he had called together all the people's chief priests. And then this one takes a while too. When they called the chief priests, then the teachers of the law, he asked them where the Christ was to be born. And they replied in verse 5, okay? It says like this, in Bethlehem, in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written. Okay, let's jump in verse 7. Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time. Okay, so they asked the exact time. Therefore, when they came to Jerusalem, is no longer the exact time the birth of Jesus. You'll notice in chapter 2, verse 1, Jesus already born in Bethlehem in Judea. Okay, the exact time the star had appeared, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and make careful search for a child. So go and make careful search for a child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him. And you will notice here, this is the little clue that will give us the complete understanding. Probably they went to Bethlehem, all these magi and all his company. They didn't find boy Jesus. Okay, so what happened? So they searched from Bethlehem to their house. Let's read this one. This is the very important verse, chapter 2, verse 9 of Matthew. Until it stopped over the place where the child was. You will notice it's already child, okay, child, no longer infant or baby. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, okay, to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worship him. Okay? So now, let's go back to Luke chapter 2. This is the account of Luke chapter 2. We're going to read it very carefully, okay, and with the greatest care. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that the census should be taken to the entire Roman world. Okay, this is chapter 2, verse 1. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David. That's far. That's very far, okay? Because he belonged to the house of line of David. He went there, registered with Mary, verse 5, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. Okay, so in Tagalog, kagampana. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born. And she gave birth to her son, a son. She wrapped him in clothes and placed him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. So it's not a house. This is manger. This is not the place where the Magi found the Lord Jesus Christ, the boy Jesus. They found him when they searched, probably no longer in Bethlehem. So they asked the shepherds, where is the Christ? Oh, they're no longer here. You know what happened? Take note this verse, okay? Chapter 2, verse 39, okay? They don't know this verse, okay? When Joseph and Mary had done everything required by the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. They did not found by Magi, and Joseph and Mary, and Luke never mentioned that Magi because they didn't found by this Magi in the temple or in Bethlehem. So, because they went already to their home. Where is that home? This is the house mentioned by Matthew in chapter 2, verse 11. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother. So this is already house. This is not the manger. This is a different place now. This is already in their house. They have their town. They went back to their home, the town in Nazareth. So that's why when they found Jesus, he was already probably 2 years old or 1 year old already. Do you get my point? I cannot explain to you in the proper English because it's English. I am not Englishman, okay? I am pure Tagalog, okay? I just learned a little bit English. Very difficult for me to explain to you, but if it is in Tagalog, it's very easy. But I think you understand my English, okay? So now, this is what happened again. When they had gone, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. Get up, he said, take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him. It's already a child. So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt, where he stayed there until Herod's death. When Herod realized as he had been outwitted with the Magi, he was furious. He gave orders to kill the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity, who were 2 years old and under. So in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. So almost 2 years old, or the boy Jesus, was already 1 to 2 years old, approximately. That's why Herod ordered to kill the boys 2 years old under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. There was a time, that's the time. So there is no contradiction. So what Luke captured in his probably interview to the people who actually witnessed the account. So Luke, people tell them this is what happened in the. Of course, Luke went to the manger and to all the pastors there who were, pastoring their land. You know what happened here? When there's a baby boy born here. Yeah. After this baby boy, we have heard singing of all the angels proclaiming that glory to the highest. We heard that. And they were so glad. And then after that, Mary went to the temple and, dedicate this baby Jesus. And, after that, and they probably Luke went also to the high priest, there was really Jesus here, the name Jesus, or baby Jesus that was born by the name of Mary and Joseph. Yes. Actually, they went already to their home in Nazareth. They went back to their home in Nazareth. So there is no contradiction. So when the Magi found out, Jesus was already in the house, not in the manger. The picture of the time when Jesus Christ was born, that these three kings, they said that we call them three kings. The Catholic called them, depicted them as the three kings. No, it's not. It's a Magi. So it was in the manger they offered the gifts. Okay, it was the picture. Jesus, the baby Jesus, was still in the manger. But no, the Bible tells us that Jesus was already, the boy Jesus, already in the house. Okay, let's play it again.
The biblical literalists and the Christians are the sort of metaphorical.
No. It's not. It has nothing to do with that. Your explanation doesn't make any sense. Why not just go straight to the verse and compare them side by side? Okay, so the clue is when the Magi came, he was already 1 to 2 years old, probably, because they came not in the manger but in the house. Okay, and the account of Luke after Jesus was circumcised in the 8th day. So they went to the temple and circumcised, and after that they went home. And when Joseph and Mary had done everything required by the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. So that means the account of Matthew that the Magi offer give their gifts to the boy Jesus does not contradict the account of Luke, because they returned to Galilee, where their house. So they don't have the house in Bethlehem. That's why they want to go to the inn. They cannot rent the Airbnb in Bethlehem, because they were already full of guests or renters, right? So they don't have a house. They don't have property, a house in Bethlehem. Their house is in Nazareth. So that is where the Magi offer their gift. Matthew chapter 2 verse 10. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and bowed down and worshipped him. Then they offered their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, incense, and myrrh. The Roman Catholic gave us these magi or kings, they call it three kings of the Catholic. They offered their gifts in the manger with all these, animals like sheep and goats. So that is wrong. That's wrong. Okay? The correct, the account, it's very clear here. It's not in the manger. It's in the house already. So probably the age of the boy Jesus, it's already 1 to 2 years old. So there's no contradiction, okay? So stop maligning the scriptures. Stop, attacking the scriptures with nonsense and without any evidence that these are Luke and Matthew are contradicting each other. No, they're not. They're not. It's only the misinterpretation, the lack of support of the knowledge, the small thing that Bart Ehrman said. But Bart Ehrman trying to find the little chink in the armor in the negative side. What I'm gonna do is to find that a little thing, not chink of the armor, Bart Ehrman is a negative way. I am in the positive way with the truth, okay? So that's a huge difference between us, okay? God bless. So see you next time. And thank you for your subscription. And thank you for subscribing in my channel. See you in my next video. And God bless to each one of you. So there is no contradiction, okay? God bless.